Emily take the floor. Thank you so much, Emily, and welcome everyone.
Thank you for that wonderful introduction. I really appreciate it, and I'm so happy to be here. My name is Emily Chelmacki, and I'm the Assistant Director of Residential Operations here at the Office of Residence Life, or ORL as we like to call it. And I'm here to give you a Housing 101 crash course in what the residence life is going to be like. So I'm going to share my screen here. Let's see if we can actually get this to work. Yeah, okay. So make your mark with IIT. Basically, we're going to give you an idea of what we're doing here, the mission statement. Our main goal is to foster a safe and inclusive learning focused community, and that's especially true for first and second years who may not have a lot of experience living on their own. We want to promote responsibility for self, taking accountability for actions, and creating and upholding the university community standards. And please note that we are deeply committed to diversity, equity, and inclusion, which is IIT's mission. Little introduction of the Residence Life staff. You may see us around. We eat at the cafeteria a whole bunch, so please say hi. We have Janessa Luvert, who's the Senior Director of Residence Life. We have Adriana Avina, the Residence Hall Director for CASIC, and of course myself here at the bottom. And we have a wonderful grad assistant whom we could not operate without, Paul Ojo. He is the absolute best. No picture because he doesn't want stalkers. All right. So resident advisors, these are going to be your first and frontline people to get to know on the floors. They are students that have taken on the extra responsibility of guiding and helping floors of students and creating events. There will be lots of events that'll be put on for the floor and even for multiple floor collaborations, sometimes even entire building collaborations. So get to know your RAs, check out their bulletin boards, talk to them, stop by, say hi. And these are the things that your RA can typically help with: lockouts, roommate conflicts, room changes, general questions, and support. Now, the Office of Residence Life is located in the MSV building, the McCormick Student Village. We call it MSV because McCormick Student Village is a very long thing to say. We can answer your questions. We are the one-stop shop for question answering. And pretty much, while there are other departments that have very specific answers, we can generally point you in the right direction or get you where you're going. Billing, meal plans, room issues, move outs, work orders, anything of that nature, you can always call us or come to us or email us. Residency verification. Now, we know that as much as we'd like you to stay forever, you will probably move off campus at some point to start your new lives as adults with full education. And we do provide the residency verification for that. It's a proof of residency sheet. So if you want to go get an apartment, for example, and they need some sort of landlord reference, that's what you'd ask for, the proof of residency sheet. We also help you with key replacements should you get your keys lost or stolen. ID access issues, because as wonderful as they are, these RFID IDs sometimes just stop working for reasons we're not quite sure. We can usually repair the access, or we can direct you if the card has outlived its lifespan, because that happens occasionally too. Housing related problems, we'd like to think there are none, but we're here to help if there are. So here's the phone number, the email, and you can always visit us 8:30 a.m. to 5 p.m. Monday through Friday. Here are our lovely residence halls: Kasich, Cunningham, Row Village, North, Middle, and South. Uh-oh, there's a picture missing for Carmen. This presentation was made while Carmen was still being built, so we don't have a picture. It exists, I swear. Gonzales, and of course, MSV. Oh, there's the picture of Carmen. Yay. Okay. It exists, I promise. So the benefits are 24/7 security. We have preventative security in the way of the CDAs, the community desk assistants, at the front door of every building. Of course, we have public safety. There's those community desk assistants. The on-call student RAs and the professional staff members on call are our second tier level. So if you have a question, any kind of question, You can always go to the community desk assistant at the front of your building and ask them. And if they don't have the answer, or it's above their skill or access level, they can call a resident advisor, the RA, or they can call a professional staff member. They'll make that determination. They are very highly trained. We spend a lot of time training them. The amenities: cable, gym, wireless internet, free laundry, community kitchens in Row Village, microwaves available, and the rooftop lounges in RV. They are really something to see. If you can go up there, it's beautiful, especially on a summer night. Gets a great view of the city. If you're new to Chicago, this is a great way to get acclimated to our skyline. It's just great. Way better than New York, I have to say. All right. So roommate conflicts. We generally hope that we set it up so they don't happen, but if they do, we do want to give you these guidelines to consider. So please approach a new roommate as just an opportunity. You can make a friend, you can learn about someone, and this being IIT with a high number of international students, we can all learn about people from different places and broaden our horizons. This is an opportunity. So be open and talk about your needs frankly and honestly so that it's all out in the open and there's no, oh, you didn't tell me this type of situation that comes up. So please address those concerns in the very beginning because it'll just lead to a happier overall semester and living structure. Make sure you complete your roommate agreements. Now, the RAs can help you if there's things in there that you don't understand, but this is basically sort of a mini social contract saying, okay, I would like to try and take your feelings into consideration and you will take my feelings into consideration. We'll try not to upset each other. We'll check with each other, check for understanding. Basically, it's just a guideline on how to live with another person, which can be kind of helpful if you've never actually had to share a room before. And you can always talk to your RA if you're concerned or have questions. We do have a roommate conflict process if those things can't be resolved by the process I just suggested. The MTCC post office is the hub of mail. Now, while all the residence halls do have their own specific addresses, we do route all mail into the MTCC post office because then it's a one centralized stop section for getting everything. You can get packages, you can get a mailbox assignment there. They're really helpful. That's also the campus business center now. So that is where you would go for IDs, that would go for copier services, printing. If you're interested, you can check out Campus Business IIT, I believe that's their URL. And they have a whole list of services that you can find at the MTCC, which is the building across from MSV. Come visit. All right, the dining and meal plans. So first and second year students, they are required to either have the all access or the Flex 300 meal plan because we want you to be able to have food whenever you want it. Other undergraduates living in units without an in-unit kitchen must have a minimum of Block 230 because once again, we want you to be able to eat. Residents with an in-unit kitchen can select a Block 50 or higher. So the Block 50 is the bare minimum for residents with an in-unit kitchen. You can go higher, but you cannot go lower than Block 50. We just want to make sure you have food. This is a running thing. So meal swipes, you use those at the Commons, which is the large cafeteria area located in MTCC. You can also use meal exchanges, which are for the specialty stands in Center Court and in Kaplan. Various areas around the campus have eateries that you can do meal exchanges for. So it's basically swapping one of your Commons cafeteria meals for a specialty meal from a different location. There's more information on the IIT dining website. There's also Global Grounds, which is the little Starbucksy kind of cafe that we have in MTCC. It's very good. They do a very passable frappuccino. I can attest to their lattes. And check out dineoncampus.com because they have the menus there, and it's always great to know what you're going in for each meal. All right, safety. As you may have experienced in your previous years, if there's ever any semblance of a fire, pull a fire alarm and immediately exit the building. That's just the common sense explanation we tell everyone. I mean, if you're able to contact the ORL office after you've gone to safety, please do. Otherwise, pulling that alarm, you've done what you can for the situation. Our main concern is for you to get yourself to safety. And that being said, we'd like to prevent as many fires as possible. So no open candles, no flames, no incense, nothing that creates smoke is allowed in the residence halls. We've even had situations where extreme hairspray set off a fire alarm once, and we managed to calibrate those alarms to not have that happen. But if you're going to use a whole can of Aquanet, consider going outside because we don't want the fire alarms to go off. So medical emergencies, once again, 911, as if you were anywhere, you would call 911. You can also call the public safety line. You can, if you're near one of the community desks, you can tell the CDA to call public safety. You can always notify residents' life, but that's sort of a secondary thing after you call 911. The main concern is get the person medical care as soon as possible. Weather emergencies, please move away from all windows, head to the lowest floor. Those are usually the basements. They tend not to have many windows. Thankfully, we don't have a lot of extreme weather in Chicago. I know Chicagoans like to complain about our weather. It's our favorite topic to be like, oh, you don't like the weather? Wait 15 minutes. Ha ha ha. But that's kind of true, actually. But we don't have extreme weather. So typically this will not be an issue for you. But should a weather emergency arise and you get one of those notifications, please do head down to the basement. Keep yourself safe. Stay away from windows. Don't go outside. No storm chasing, please. Just be safe. Personal safety. So please do not hold the door or allow access to anyone who does not have their own card and cannot get their own access, because that's one of the biggest features of the building is that you require tap access and to be a resident to get in. So don't let anyone in. Please always lock your doors. I know it's tempting, even if you're going to the bathroom, to just leave it open so you can pop right back in. Just lock your doors. Make sure you keep track of your keys. It's very easy to lose keys. I lose mine constantly. Don't be like me. Please hold on to yours, because if you lose your keys, while we can change the locks and replace them, and we will have to if you've lost your key just for safety, it does cost $175. So that is a charge we want to avoid for everyone. Please hold on to your keys. Be alert. Now, if you notice something suspicious, give the Office of Residence Life a call and let us know. It may be nothing. We might have an explanation for it, or it might be something. Keep your eyes open. Let us know what's going on. And please do sign up for IIT alerts. Policies. You can have guests, up to 3 guests for up to 3 nights in every 14-day period. So if you have a guest, then they can stay for up to 3 nights, and then they can't come back for 14 days. And you can have up to 3 guests, but I suggest limiting that, especially if you're in a double or triple, because the rooms are kind of small and the sleeping space might be an issue. But please feel free to bring in guests. You'll have to check them in at the community desk, and they'll have to have a valid ID. They need to show that ID. They'll be registered to you. And that's one of the ways that we keep the dorm safe, is that we make sure we register all non-residents that are coming into the buildings, and they must be a guest. No alcohol, no drugs, that's a given. To have alcohol, you must be 21 or older to possess or consume. If you're ever in a place where alcohol is being possessed or consumed, everyone there has to be over 21, even if they are not partaking. So please have your friends show their IDs. And don't drink alcohol in the common areas. Smoking, prohibited. Everywhere that is indoors. You may go outside where the trees and the grass live and walk a minimum of 15 feet away from the building and smoke as you like, within reason and within the guidelines and laws of the city, of course, to what you are smoking. This does include vaping and e-cigarettes, so you must be away from an entrance. As a courtesy, if you see like it's a warm day and there's lots of people's windows open, please try to move downwind from that, because that is just the basic social contract. Don't smoke into people's windows. Identification and keys. These are the heart and soul of your housing experience here at IIT. Please do not give or lend your ID or keys to anyone. For starters, the CDAs are trained to not let anyone in that is not you on that ID. And we do have pictures every time you tap that shows, hey, look, that's your face right there. And if it's not your face, we're not letting you in. And your keys, I mean, that's the key to your room, where your stuff lives and where you live. So please don't give that to anyone. Quiet hours, 10 p.m. to 8 a.m. We want people to be able to have sleep during finals week, because everyone is super stressed and busy and working nonstop. It's 24-hour quiet hours. So just, try to keep it down. Room capacity. Oh, this was already covered by the 3 guests in a room. So up to 3 guests, each resident. So I can't imagine keeping 6 people in a double room, but you could try if you want to. I mean, that's the old college try, right? And the community. Please help us help you. We can't be all places at all times. So if you notice something is going on that's like there's a facilities issue, like you see a leak or you see something that's broken, you can go into your housing portal and check out the Hawkworks app, and you can actually log a work order yourself. Alternatively, you can also call us and we can do it. Laundry concerns, there's a specific company that actually handles the laundry machines, and every laundry room has signs that direct you to the app you can use to log any issues you have with the laundry. But please, if the laundry machines are acting up, let us know too, because we can sometimes, facilitate them moving a little faster on repairs. And of course, suggestions and ideas. Like if you see something that you think could be better or that we could be doing differently, let us know. We love hearing from you guys because we get lots and lots of cool suggestions from our students every year, and we do implement a lot of them. So we also ask that you help each other. Now, let us know if you have concerns about your roommate or a floor mate or a classmate. If someone seems like they're having a hard time going through difficulties, or they're just acting like something's going on, please let us know so we can reach out to that person and help them, because IIT does have resources. Our staff is highly trained, and we do want everyone to have a productive, mentally healthy situation to live in. And if there's a way we can help with that, we're going to do our best to strive for success on every front there. And similarly, if you are feeling down or overwhelmed, or just things aren't going well and you don't know what to do, ask for help. We're here for you. We have lots and lots of resources. We're always happy to talk to you. I mean, that's largely what we're here for. We're here for you, the students. So please come talk to us. And if we can't directly solve the issue, we're happy to listen, and we're happy to direct you to someone that might be able to help a little more. All right, the Residence Hall Association. This is where the students get to speak out and take charge. We really love our Residence Hall Association. They're very vocal, and I love when they go on strong campaigns about things, because this is largely how we learn if things aren't working great. They bring their concerns to the student government and the student organizations like RHA, and then the RHA representatives notice a pattern like, lots of people are talking about this, and they bring it to us. They schedule meetings, and it's really a way to sort of have your voice be heard in a more official capacity. I mean, you could always send us an email, but if a bunch of people are all concerned about the same thing and they all go to RHA, chances are it will get brought up in an official capacity, and that moves up the chain of command a lot faster. So that is definitely an option to keep in mind. And if you're politically minded, every year we elect those student leaders. You have the opportunity in your very first semester to get involved. You can also get involved in your floor by becoming a floor rep and working with your RA to create a positive, happy, vibrant community on your floor. It's sort of like mini RA, what the floor rep does. So you're a helper and a facilitator, and you help like corral everyone, get them into that event, and think of yourself as an MC, a master of ceremonies, a hype guy. All right, so RHA meets biweekly on Mondays at 9:15 p.m. It's a little later so that all classes are done. You have the biggest opportunity to join. All right, we've reached the FAQ, and I got a few questions from our lovely hosts to answer. These are things that they've come across as being asked regularly. How does Greek housing work for basically everybody? Well, IIT has lots of pages dedicated to all the Greek organizations, and they have their own schedules for entrance and for recruitment. So please take a look at this link here, under the campus life section. And if you Google Greek Life IIT, you'll get many, many pages. Each organization has their own. Second question, how can students request a roommate? And I know this is a question a lot of you have because you're doing those housing applications right now. So there's the roommate request section of the application. You just go in there, you search for your roommate. There's 3 different options. The first one is by A number under roommates by detail. So if you know their name, first or last, or their A number, you should probably use one or the other. Don't try to use all 3 because it confuses the system. You can search for them specifically if you have someone already in mind that you know. You can also search for people that have similar preferences. Now, when you're filling out the application, we ask you a lot of preferences, like what time do you want to go to bed? Do you like a lot of noise? Do you plan on being friends with everyone? Or do you prefer to have a quiet place of study? And depending on which preference is most important to you, you can actually search specifically by that preference and find people that are the most compatible in like a percentile system from like 1 to 100%. The people that are most compatible with you on that preference list. Alternatively, if you're just looking for an all around like great match, you can use the suggested roommate section, which will basically look at your preferences and round everybody up and give you the person who's the closest match, the highest percentile, 85, 95% of people who basically answered the same as you and who will have similar lifestyle expectations to you. So that's always a good option. All right. No, and my screen is doing something weird. Please hold. Okay, there we go. So a roommate, oh, sorry. How does a room change or residence hall change work? Currently, we cannot offer room or hall changes. We go through a consolidation process because while we do have a lot of rooms on campus, they fill up. And then we've actually had very high occupancy rates for the last year and a half, basically since COVID sort of started its ramp down. So there's been moments where there has not been a single space open on campus. That being said, it's a matter of just there not being a space to move you to. But typically, we're not able to offer those room changes because we have a contractual obligation to do room consolidation, which means everyone gets what they pay for. So you're in a double room requires you to have a roommate. So we're going to take 2 people each in separate rooms and put them together so that they're roommates, because that is what the type of room that you paid for. So, oh, wait, I went back. No, crud.
Thank you so much, Emily. After your FAQ, can we open the floor for more questions?
Absolutely. I
Awesome.
missed one question,
Go for
sorry.
it.
So if there are 2 students from full rooms, like rooms that have all of the spaces filled that wish to swap, like I want to move with your roommates and you want to move with mine, if everybody agrees and everyone's willing to send an email saying they agree, we can do that kind of room swap. But other room changes are currently not available. Now, accommodations, and every year we do get a lot of questions about ADA accommodations, both academic and housing wise. All of these will be directed to the Center for Disability Resources. There's a wonderful lady named Cora that you'll get to meet there and talk to. She's very sweet. She'll guide you through the whole process. She'll set up a meeting and talk to you about what you need. We basically want to set you up for success here. And that the CDR does a fantastic job of that. And on the housing side, we work directly with Cora at the Center for Disability Resources to make sure that you get the housing accommodations you need. And this is also where you can register service animals, emotional support animals, and basically a whole range of services that can be found on the Center for Disability Resources website. Okay, I think that's it, and I'm ready for questions. Oh, there we go.
Amazing. Thank you so much for taking the time to break those answers down and to additionally add those links for us to reference in the future. We do have a question, Emily, from John. If there are, is it allowed to have, for example, a male guest, like a father, in a female dorm? And where can guests stay if they are of different backgrounds or gender?
Well, that is an interesting question. We would expect students to talk amongst themselves and make sure that they've clearly communicated with their roommates before having any guests. Find out the comfort level of your roommate with, for example, having your father visit. There are commuter housing rooms available for commuters, but currently they do not rent them out as guest rooms. That may change in the future, but that would be a question for the Hawk Hotel. Gosh, I'm forgetting the name. Hawk House. There we go. Hawk House. So if you Google Hawk House at IIT, you'll find all the information about the commuter level housing, and you can ask questions about whether or not they're allowing family guests. But until then, because you're all now adults, we hope that you would be able to talk to your roommate frankly as an adult and ask them their comfort levels on any guests that you would have.
Amazing. Thank you so much for that answer.
Of course.
And we have a second question from Alex. Alex wants to know, can you request a specific hall, residence hall?
You can, yes. During room selection, everyone has housing eligibilities, and you can read more about the housing eligibilities if you go to IIT Housing. You just toss that in Google. That'll bring you every housing website there is. And the eligibility is essentially first and second years can choose doubles or triples in Kasich Hall, Cunningham Hall, or MSV. That's the McCormick Student Village in the Lewis Hall of MSV. And the rest of the halls are largely set aside for upperclassmen or graduate students because they are apartment style apartments as opposed to doubles and triples in Kasich, Cunningham, and MSV.
Excellent. Thank you.
Mhm.
There's a third question coming from from Patterson, S. Patterson. Is there a specific hall for the first year NROTC students, those that are in the Naval Preparatory Program?
Yes, that would be the MSV hall. I believe that you can ask your department coordinator about that. They usually send us a list. So if you've not gotten any information, I would reach out and ask because you need to be placed on a list and then we'll place you. It's a whole thing and we're happy to do it.
Marvelous. Thank you for your answer.
Mhm.
We have another question from John. If there are at least two people matched and would like to be roommates in a double, who decides the final room arrangement?
Oh, well, we do have triples. There's not a lot of them. So if you all like each other a lot, you can try and all get into a triple. But ultimately, it's up to you guys. You decide uh, who you'd like to live with. And if you really can't decide, then I would suggest setting up two roommate pairs and getting rooms side by side so you can all hang out.
Wonderful. Thank you. We also have a question, Emily, from Tonali. How do you apply for residence halls? Like pay for dorms and then what specific halls would they apply for? Tonali, I'm going to go ahead and send you the link to our apply for housing. And that way you can reference all of that information and take a look at the application there as well. So I can get that question for you, Emily. But if you don't mind answering Amanda's question, how common is it for a first year student to get a single dorm or a single room in the residence hall?
So the single spaces and the single dorms are largely prioritized for ADA accommodations. Now, we talked about ADA a little earlier in that sometimes students need special accommodations to ensure their success. So those spaces are not going to be open for regular room selection, which actually should be opening for everyone here Friday, I believe, if you applied with a roommate group before April 10th and the 24th or further into the week of April 24th if you applied after April 10th or were alone. So basically, getting singles, you would need to have a genuine need for it because there is a high need and they are prioritized for ADA accommodations exclusively right now.
Thank you so much, Emily, for clarifying that.
Mhm.
And we have someone asking Reagan if our windows in the residence halls can be opened. Can they be opened?
Yes, they can. Almost all of them can. The upper ones, largely because they're out of reach, don't open, but they should have the ability to open for like a breeze on a nice summer day.
Amazing, thank you. And we also have a question from Javin. Are there any residence halls that are specifically for students with families, such as a spouse or small children?
Yes, we do actually offer family housing on the second floors of Carmen Hall and Gonzalez Hall. Those rooms are by family housing application only. So if you would like to apply for family housing, you can send us an email at housing@iit.edu and we'll get you all the information you need there. Alternatively, you can Google family housing IIT and the website will also have the same information. And really, I'm just going to be sending you to the website. So either one.
Thank you, Emily. And I see we're having a slew of questions here. So this is going to be a frequently asked questions party. We have someone asking if would a student who is a third year transfer student be able to book an apartment style single room? Is that possible?
We do have single spaces for third year and above. So upperclassmen have access to apartment style spaces, for example, which would be a 2 or 3 bedroom apartment where everyone has their own private bedroom, but there is a shared kitchen and bathroom and common space. So those are available for third year and above, yes.
Excellent. Thank you. And we have a question from Ryan who was asking, would the time frame for the housing application be the same for those who are receiving the Chicago Difference Award and scholarship?
I believe so, yes. If you're looking for a housing deposit waiver, you would need to contact us at housing@iit.edu because that is the most common question with scholarships like that. I know we've had a few questions from the Chicago Difference and the Chicago Hope Scholars, and we're happy to answer them. Any specific questions, you can shoot over to housing@iit.edu because I guarantee you we've heard it all.
Wonderful. Thank you. And a question coming from a prospective athlete. If a student is going to be part of an athletic team, when picking rooms, is the student be able to choose the same floor or building where the other incoming freshman teammates are residing?
I don't see a reason why not. I would talk to your coach and see if they have that information. They do like to coordinate. So I know that a lot of the coaches will have lists of people and ask everybody, "Hey, who do you want to live with this year?" Okay, we're going to go for this floor and this building. And so that everyone can sort of coordinate and it works better for roommate purposes because then everyone sort of is on the same schedule and you don't have any kind of like timing conflicts. I know athletes get up super early.
Truly, thank you so much for explaining that clarification. We would love for our athletes to bond and have that opportunity to live near each other. We also have a question, Emily, from another Emily. Wow. They are asking who controls the heating and air conditioning? Does each room have individual temperature control?
It varies from building to building, truthfully. The towers have automatic cooling and heating that are outside temperature based, while Row Village has a more manual process that has to be turned on and off for each of the heating and cooling processes. It's water fueled, it's part of the Chicago City system. I'm not super familiar with the technology, but I'm sure there's some engineering prospective majors here that could explain it better than me. But in general, the students will have some control, but if there's ever a question like it's too hot or it's too cold, please either call ORL at the number that we gave you earlier, 312-567-5075, or shoot us an email at housing@iit.edu, or you can go to Hawkworks and put in a work request because they are very fast at responding to heating and cooling questions because they're the ones ultimately facilities are the ones that control the heating and temperature. So we'd be the intermediaries there.
Splendid, thank you. And just to piggyback off that question, would you say then, Emily, that there is an air conditioner in every room?
I would say there's air conditioning cooling in every room. There's not like a unit in every room because it's built into the building, like the forced air kind of systems for most of them. Some rooms, like in MSV, will have standalone units that will be in the room for the season, and then you can have facilities take it out when it gets cold. but like specifically like a window unit, no, but they will all have cooling.
Thank you. And I know you mentioned some of these appliance related facts earlier in the presentation, but a question from the audience, is there a mini fridge, a microwave, or a TV in the room? I know washing machines are already included in every building, but if there are, what are the stipulations for those appliances, Emily?
It varies from building to building. Because of the sensitivity of our fire alarms, the only microwave fridge combos we allow in, for example, MSV would be rentals from Bedloft, I believe, and that should be true for Kasich and Cunningham as well. It's a certified microwave mini fridge combo. They're sort of like bolted together and you get it as a unit. They literally deliver it to you. And those are certified to one, not set off the fire alarms, two, work with our electrical circuiting, and three, like they fit in the dorm. So we don't let students bring their own because I can't tell you how many times they've brought full size fridges and that's cool, but there's really no place to put them. So if you want a microwave or mini fridge and your room does not have any of the appliances, like for example, rooms that are not apartment style will likely not have those appliances. So if you want the micro fridge combo, you have to rent it semesterly or yearly from bedloft.com.
Marvelous. Thank you. All right. And we have another question. Are students educated about the safety around the school? Will they know where they should stay away? Public transportation and such? Or can you refer us to resources on this information?
Absolutely. We have the iCenter that specializes in helping international students who are not familiar with large scale American cities get around in Chicago, and they have very special detailed programs for that. And for students coming in from different places, even if you're just downstate in Illinois, your RA is a great resource for this. And you can always ask them any question. You can go to MTCC, ask campus business any question. There's information desks in MTCC. You can stop by ORL and just ask us. We're always happy to tell you our favorite Chinese food place. Okay. Like we have restaurant recommendations for days. So, honestly, and the best way to understand Chicago is to talk to your fellow students. Just ask around. Because I guarantee you, everybody has an opinion about Chicago and they're happy to share it. That is a universal truth about Chicagoans.
Thank you so much, Emily. And a question from Victoria.
Mhm.
Victoria wants to know, what does the early decision or early action priority housing selection look like?
Well, early decision or early action would have been directed to complete their application by April 10th, which is the priority period. Um, Barring that, I mean, it's not a huge loss because the housing largely remains the same. It would just mean you'd have to wait an additional 3 or 4 days for a time slot if you didn't get it in by April 10th. So not to worry, you're not missing out on anything. We're largely not going to be out of any spaces, at least not now. Who knows? Maybe if we have a ton of people coming in, but we expect that early decision, if you didn't get it in, you should be getting a time slot sometime next week and you'll still get a great room. They're all great. And yeah.
Thank you. Thank you for clarifying that.
Mhm.
Another question from the audience is from Spencer. You mentioned that there was minimal options to switch rooms. Does that include if there is a problem with a roommate?
We do have a roommate conflict resolution process, and it does begin with talking to your RA, and they will try and mediate the situation and find out everybody's side and see if there isn't some sort of commonality or common ground that they can find for everybody who's involved. And if it's unresolvable at that point, they can direct you on the next step. So there is a process. But largely, most of our conflicts are resolved just by having an objective third party step in and be like, okay, let's talk about this.
Awesome. Thank you so much for that.
Mhm.
And another question, I know you did touch upon this subject of pets, but a question from Favor, are pets and plants allowed in common spaces? What does the pet policy look like?
There is a published pet policy for IIT. We don't really allow pets per se. Some people will have service animals or emotional support animals. Those must be registered through the Center for Disability Resources. We don't recommend trying to sneak an animal in. It's not a great plan to have animals without people being aware of it. We do have specific spaces that we try to place people who have pets or sorry, for emotional support animals or service animals, so that it's not a situation where they're everywhere and they're largely expected to behave like a service animal would. So like, they shouldn't be interacting with people inappropriately. They shouldn't be making messes, and they shouldn't really be in common spaces beyond what their actual expected purpose is. Like people, of course, they bring their service animals to MSV, to the courtyard area, because it's a fenced in area where the dogs can run around, and they're more than welcome to do that. But it's it's different. It's not like a pet situation. It's an emotional support or service animal situation. I don't know if that answered your question.
Yes, thank you so much for defining those specifics. And I know we are wrapping up for our last 5 minutes, but Faye would like to know, is it okay to drink water straight from the tap in Kasich Hall and Cunningham Hall?
Yes, we're on the city water, and Chicago prides itself on the quality of its water. It may taste different than what you're used to, especially if you're coming from a water softening place that adds what is it, the sodium to the water. I'm not sure about that process, but I do know that, like New York, Chicago has very distinctive water that has a specific taste. So it may be unusual at first when you try it, but it's perfectly safe. And Chicago has regularly won awards for their water clarity and health and safety process. So yes, it's fine to drink the water straight out of the tap. If you're concerned or you just want a little extra level of security, you can always grab a Brita and fill that up, but it's really not necessary. I drink it out of the tap every day.
Awesome, thank you. Question already from Simona. The housing forms online do not have a selection for preferred residence halls and room type selection. Are there separate forms for those, Emily?
So when you complete your application, after if you're being required to have the $600 deposit, as first years you shouldn't be, but if you're a transfer student coming in, you may be. Once you complete your application and pay any deposits that you're required to pay, you'll be eligible to receive a time slot. And the way time slots work are they will be released on random lottery by class status. So today we started with the fourth year and above, meaning grad students and fourth year students and fifth year students. And then tomorrow will be third year students and all the fourth years and grad students that didn't pick a slot today. And then Friday will be second years and first years for the priority time slot period. During that room selection process, you'll be able to pick both the hall and the room that you want. Now, during this priority period this week, it's people that were in roommate groups that are getting the time slots. Next week, you'll see people that applied alone without a roommate or that applied after the April 10th cutoff for the priority period, getting time slots then on a rolling basis based on when you put in your application. So it's that point, the room selection process is where you can choose the building and the room.
Thank you. I believe you answered a few questions that were related to that. So I do want to go back once. Mark had a question. Is it difficult, Emily, to apply to your choice of residence halls after May 1st?
It's not, it's mainly an issue of capacity because we have had higher than usual occupancy, as I said. And there was a brief 2-week period last year when every space was filled. So you'll have fewer choices if you apply later, but there still should be rooms. And we're committed to making sure everybody gets a room that they're eligible for. And if we absolutely run out of rooms, well, I don't think we will, but there are contingency plans in place for that.
Excellent. And going back to the conversation we had about appliances,
Mhm.
since students are not allowed to bring their own personal microwave or mini fridge, aside from the bed loft rentals, are students able to bring in their own plug-in electric hot water kettle?
I am not entirely sure if those are allowed. I know the hot plates are not because they produce too much fire and heat and tend to have smoke situations if anything is spilled on them. The kettles, I'll have to get back to you on that. I believe they are allowed. Um, Let me check that. That's a good question because we've
Oh, of
we've
course.
discovered as we went along what is and is not something that would set off the fire alarms. And the last thing we want is to have fire alarms every 5 minutes. So there should be a list of approved appliances on our housing website. And there's a what to bring list as well that I can refer you to as I type and see if I can find it real quick. What should I bring checklist? That's the exact name of it. Do you want me to drop the link in the chat here?
If you have it, that'd be great. Thank you so much.
Yes.
So feel free to take a look at these links, everyone, that have been dropped in the chat box. I do also want to ask on behalf of Ben, is there a housing deposit?
For returning students who are going to be like if they're first years now and they're going to be second years in fall and anyone above, and I believe transfer students, there is a housing reservation deposit of $600 required to apply for housing. The first years that are incoming are not required to pay that because they're already paying the application fee.
Awesome. Thank you so much for clarifying that. We also have a question from Faye. Can Faye choose which floor they'd want to be on in the towers? And second question, what is the crime rate at Illinois Tech?
So yes, you can choose the room, the building, the floor, anything you want. There are certain floors that will be gender specific because we've had a request for like only one all male floor, one all female floor for people that feel more comfortable just living among the same gender for whatever reason. But if you are not the correct gender, you will not see those floors. So you won't accidentally pick them. So that's good. But you can choose basically any floor that you see available to you because the system takes your eligibility as a first year, or I know we have some transfer students like third year and above, that takes your eligibility by your credit hour and your enrollment into consideration. And if you think there's an error, please email housing@iit.edu and we'll check your account and see because it's not likely, but sometimes it happens and we're happy to fix it. And the crime rate, I would direct you to the public safety website. We do have a very, very good public safety team. With those are our in-house police officers. They're very vigilant. They drive around constantly and they interact with the students and keep tabs on things. They respond very quickly. I personally don't know the crime log of the area, but it doesn't seem very high.
I would agree with you, Emily, on that. And you can definitely look at our statistics or even Chicago statistics online whenever anyone has a chance. But to be mindful and respectful of everybody's time, I will go ahead and answer just a few more questions. And if you have any questions moving forward, or even we're not able to get your question answered today, please reach out to housing@iit.edu so that we can get those questions answered as soon as possible on the back end. But last but not least, our final question is, when is the final date to submit the housing application?
Well, if we're talking about the academic year 23-24 housing application, we plan to keep it open until fall 2023 opens because we realize we have a lot of international students coming in later and applying later due to visa issues. So there's no deadline per se, but the longer you wait, the fewer options will necessarily be open to you.
Thank you so much for answering our questions today. I do apologize, everyone, for not being able to answer every single question. Unfortunately, we are limited on time. However, you can always reach out to us at any time of the year. Feel free to give our office a call. Also, go ahead and send us a message if you choose to. I'm going